And no, it's what happens in the story. And it's what makes Berserk so beautiful. Is that it can be an epic cosmic fantasy on one page, and the next page you're just entering someone's mouth. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Volume 1, the anime and manga podcast, where we usually review the first volume of a brand new manga each week, but it's Berserk once again. My name is Josh Bakiraka Michaels, and today, as always, I am joined by
Mehgan, Foot Dagger, Perrine.
Ooh.
Cody Merman Decker.
Thank you. We are coming towards the end of our Berserk journey. We're dividing this final arc, the Fantasia arc, into a total of 3 videos. It's going to be a part 1, a part 2, and then we're saving the very last chapter to discuss live. That's going to be some time in mid-January or towards the end of January, so be on the lookout for that. But we got a part 1 to do today. That is chapters 316 through 340, roughly volumes 36, 37, and kind of about halfway through 38. We're back. Berserk is back. We left off as such a what felt like a kooky part of the story.
Just here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but where it picked back up, coincidentally, I mean, it just starts going down. And it's everything I love about Berserk back again. The final chapters seem to be just like
Magnificent.
Magnifico.
They
seem to be Serpico's brother. Magnifico.
Where we left off, it was kind of like, how
Or
are they gonna,
Farnese's brother. Sorry.
like, can the story like close like it? But it does feel like things are wrapping up.
Yeah.
Already, actually, I'm like, actually, yeah. There's only like 2 things that need to happen in the story.
Yeah, and it's great. We get to see some characters we haven't seen in a while.
That's
focus
so
on
fun.
them, and it's just like I'm not even mad. You know, sometimes when Berserk cuts like focus to other characters, like the Farnese arc was really good. It kind of dragged a little bit just because of all the other stuff, but I was
it didn't drag
obsessed.
because of Farnese. It dragged because of some other things that were surrounding that situation.
We get some flashbacks.
Fantasy politics that you don't cotton to.
Yeah.
Fantasy politics that I personally don't cotton to, and that involved characters that I just had no attachment to.
Yeah. Little far reach.
But
Farnese.
Farnese is I mean, she's really doing things in these couple of volumes.
Oh,
these chapters.
Yeah, she's killing it. She's really killing it. Everyone's recognizing her as like a pivotal part. Pivotal? That's it?
Yeah.
Pivotal part of the team.
Heck yeah, dude.
And Guts is just he's like a supportive, like he's just turning into such an amazing supportive person, and it's just like so great to see.
Mm-hmm.
I like that their 2 goon characters had like personality.
Finally.
That they were like monster men, but then they like you've never seen them actually talk outside of like a fight. So you see them talking, they're just like, what, is it because of the way we look?
They're kind of insecure.
And there's like little details of them like in the stable waiting as they're like discussing the plan, and they're just like cute little things.
That's our lot in life that we have to go hide.
Yeah, and like a wrap up on like a new character that we met and her little story arc.
You know, I said that she was going to have to do a lot of work to win me over this close to the end, and I think she did it, man.
Which one?
Yzma.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was just worried because it seemed like things were about to or starting to or going to need to wrap up. And
how about this? At the mount or at the shadow over Yzma.
Shadow over Yzma. Because you were thinking of a Mountains of Madness thing.
Yeah, I messed up. Yeah. But the shadow over Yzma is that has to be what this story is referencing. Which this handles cosmic horror way better than a lot of stories do. I thought, especially because it's like Guts, he's going to be able to fight it. But the fact that he actually does get overwhelmed is like, oh yeah, like it does tackle a thing like this. But it ends on I think it's a version of Shadow over Innsmouth.
Really?
Like
it feels Lovecraftian.
The reveal at the end.
Yeah.
Is like what happens. Oh, spoiler.
It feels Lovecraftian. Like you said, it's handled so well. I mean, we get to see, like you said, these cosmic fantasy creatures, a Leviathan.
And it kind of feels like it starts entering more just straight fantasy instead of being a dark fantasy.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that was like the third causality or something that caused. We were debating like what's the implication of that. But now it feels like, there's like it's just adventures that can happen now.
Yeah, and I think it's just because they're like ramping up to go to the elf kingdom. Like, that's where we're gonna see some like pure fantasy.
It really does show you that, unfortunately, due to the circumstances, but it does show you that it could have been a story that could have gone on for a lot longer. Just in the way that you were speaking about just these like random fantasy adventures that they sort of embark on. I feel like that could have gone on. I do,
And I don't, it's such a thing. Like, I don't know if you're telling someone you need to check out Berserk, how, or like where you start and where it's like led to now, where there's just like, there's mermaids jumping in and they're doing like gags and it's like, like it's not inorganic, the transition that happened here. And it's like, that's part of the experience that like no one's told me about Berserk that you'll.
Yeah. If you would have told me that Guts gets saved by a gaggle.
A gag? What do you call groups of fish?
A school.
A school.
School's in session.
Yeah, adult school.
A university. Well,
adult school. Well, don't bring your
a university for other people,
things,
but
adult school.
Yeah.
Night school.
Yeah. College is just adult school, if you think about it. It's just
really
a fancier name,
It
titles, pieces of paper.
Education.
Yeah.
Blow it off.
Throw it in the trash.
The level
No, I'm
of
just kidding. If you're ever good for you if you're trying to get that.
No, a University of Mermaids.
Yeah, University of Marrow.
Marrow.
Yeah.
Look, and it felt like it was an ending too, or it does feel like things are wrapping up too, because like you mentioned, Mehgan, the reunions that we're seeing. We're seeing characters reintroduced. We're starting to see characters that I never expected to see together come together.
Which is great. Which I'm a sucker for too.
Me too.
And they have no idea the connections from one person that they have and shared together.
And see, these are people that I care about. When like you said, that's what these, I think, makes these cutaways different than they've ever been before, is because, and I know we had to, especially in the case of like Luca, we had to get to know her through the Conviction arc for it to matter when she came back in this Fantasia arc. But everybody, Rickert, Erica, Luca, everybody that it cuts back to, and we get caught up with. I'm so just happy to see them.
I know, and even the old man. Like, I was happy to see him too, even though he did cause some damage.
A lot. A lot of damage.
Yeah, he did cause us a lot. Causality.
He causality'd a lot.
But I was happy to see all of them, and now like seeing Falconia and how that's going for Griffith. It's just really. Like, what I still have no idea, like, what's going to happen.
For a second, I thought it said there was like a massive time gap, and it was like, because they said like, oh, the 100 Years War. I'm like, oh, is this 100 years in the future?
Right. Yeah.
They would be dead.
But it was a war that had been going on for 100 years.
Yeah, and it just reminded me of that feeling of Fire Punch, where he's just like, wait, what? Where? And I'm like, oh, is this just Griffith just won at the end, and now he's like,
dude. I mean, I don't know what is happening necessarily with certain pieces of this puzzle, but it does feel like the story could wrap up with them getting to Elf Island, Griffith just ruling Fantasia.
Because it looks like revenge doesn't even make sense anymore. Because I'm like, it does look like Griffith is like,
killing it, yeah.
Like he's also like ruling pretty. It's not like they show like his society is even like has a dark underbelly anymore.
Yeah.
There's a dark.
Well, there's an
overbelly.
Well, there's a dark origin, but what nation doesn't have that?
Doesn't have a dark origin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, what would even be accomplished by him being killed?
And I like that. I was waiting because we did get a hint of it in the earlier volumes of like Rickert and how he kind of felt towards Griffith, now knowing what kind of occurred or how Guts felt about him at that moment. So it was really nice to get that closure for like Rickert and his like relationship with Griffith. I was like, yes, like, it was great because he's like, I mean, one of the last, him and Guts, and Casca.
Well, yeah, technically,
yeah, but it's like, damn.
And yeah,
that was intense.
It was a lot of catharsis, I think, in that moment, seeing Rickert and feeling like, at least as a reader, I know him well enough to know that would have been the only way he could have reacted to that. But to see him actually follow through with it was amazing.
Well, and he's older now. He's not a kid anymore. He has something to protect. Erica, like he has family, and it was just such a great little bow to his character. And I'm we're still getting that in the last couple chapters of 38, so I'm excited.
Yeah, we got everything in these couple of volumes, and in or chapters too, where we decided to leave off just was the perfect place to pick right back up. That fantasy magic, that flashback, finding out what's happened to all these characters. The flashback for me, though, I mean, was was great, and I kept waiting for it to be the kind of flashback where it
reveals something.
It either revealed something or it linked right back into, like, you know, we saw Guts right before this battle, and maybe this flashback like ended with him walking to that battle. Like I kept waiting for it to like merge with things that we had already seen before. It was also, you know, really beautiful. A little bit more about Gambino, a little bit more about, you know, Guts' mercenary days before the band,
and his like just like already ability to see the other like the realms and stuff, like to have that. So I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So he was always like that even before, you know, everything that occurred. So
yeah, I like the idea too that like he was being watched over on some level.
Mm-hmm.
I was also a little afraid, and I don't really feel like this flashback did it at all, but I was also a little afraid that through this flashback, things were going to be retconned, kind of. But luckily, it ended up just, I think, giving more weight to things that happen later. But when Guts saw that first elf, technically in that timeline, that would have been way before Puck. I don't know. I just had this like feeling, because I've been hurt so many times before. Like, oh no, they're gonna say that Guts had this whole sort of
blessing,
this other companion before Puck and just forgot, and now, you know, I don't know, but it wasn't that. So
you've been hurt by that reveal in a flashback?
Well, I mean, just
what a specific thing. What are you
not
talking
that
about?
reveal specifically, but I mean, just like that.
You were so relieved that didn't happen.
Look, man. You know, as a fan of a lot of things, Doctor Who being one of them, you know, they try to retcon a lot
Say
of
no
stuff.
more.
Legitimately, I get what you mean now.
They try to retcon a lot. They just make it up as they go. But anyway, awesome. I can't wait to start going through these. So I guess we should pick up where we left off, which was
the Ghost Pirates?
Yeah, the Ghost Pirates. And it was thankfully kind of the end of the goofiness and the beginning of like the epicness. Because the Ghost Pirates are fighting the new gang, which is led by Roderick, and Roderick again is doing some crazy boss shit.
He's so great. Like again, like you mentioned, like bringing in a character like later on in the volumes, and like not knowing if you'll like them or it'll have enough time with them, but I'm already like you're already just so attached to him. Like as a character,
there's little stuff he does. It's a little later, but how, you know, when they're looking for Guts,
like
he's
like, no, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he's leading the search. Like, oh, that's so interesting that he's like, I'm gonna go first. Like, yeah, go, Roger.
And he goes into the mouth of the Leviathan. Granted, it's dying, but still, like, wow, dude. I mean, he's like taking his shirt off, and he's like,
that should be walking shirtless into the mouth of the Leviathan.
Well,
that's what I call clocking in. You know?
That's what I call
life.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Everyone just sees like Guts's passion and like courage. I mean, they all call him crazy, and they're like, "That's not a human." But I think like even Roderick too is like trying to hone that and being like, if he can do all of this, I need to like step up a little bit. And Farnese too, like she sees Shirke and her ability, like she wants to help out, even though she's kind of like scared. Like everyone's just like kind of stepping up to the plate now.
Yeah, he really has, just through his actions, because Guts is the first person to tell you not to follow in his footsteps, but just through his action has like inspired everybody and really elevated everybody. That goes for Isidro, that goes for Farnese, that goes for, I think, even like you said,
the cushions, that goes for like everyone. Like there's so many people that are like, this man I remember, and like that's what leads them to do other things in the story, which is like great.
Yeah, I was also afraid that Shirke Berserk armor team up thing was going to only be a one-time deal, but the fact that it's
the routine.
I love it, dude. I love it. But that's where it kind of leads off. So the ghost ship, their first attack, they kind of disperse momentarily. Guts and Shirke decide that they need to go after the sea god, this beast, and Farnese is going to be left behind to cast this protection spell, which is a spell that I guess at a level that she's never cast before. So she's showing sort of her doubts, her insecurities. Shirke gives her that pep talk, tells her she can do it, tells her to believe in herself. Guts calls her, his shield or their shield. Shirke gives her that mage title, which was so crazy, and kind of walks her through it, and she does it. Roderick, of course, thirsty Roderick. Starts calling her the goddess of their ship is called, I think, the Seahorse.
Seahorse, yeah.
Yeah, the goddess, the guardian angel of the Seahorse, and just that panel of, and of course, if this is the first Berserk video of ours you've seen, then we can't keep talking about how beautiful this art is in every episode. But once again, it is just incredibly mind blowing, and that panel of their astral forms, Shirke and Farnice's astral forms flying above the ship was like the stuff of paintings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my buddy was telling me that like the art became digital.
Well, yeah, we can talk about that, and they recently revealed the final volume, or one of, I guess, the final volume's covers, because even though the story has technically ended, there weren't enough chapters to put in a volume, and now I think volume 41 is going to be the one that's coming out like post the Miura tragedy. But the cover art was revealed, and it was all digital, and it seems like the fans are pretty 50-50 on it. I actually am not the biggest fan of it personally, because I love, like, if you zoom in on some of the, I read on my Kindle, if you zoom in on some of the covers, you can see the texture of what looks like a canvas that Miura is physically painting on, and just the smoothness and the, that sort of like digital look of chapter or the volume 41, and the volumes that came, like even volume 38 kind of has a more digital cover. And I think you had mentioned that in a previous episode too. That same friend also told you that it was around this time that Miura started making that transition from traditional to digital. And, unfortunately, I think that it takes a little bit away from his art.
Well, what he was saying, that's why the art starts getting more detailed, like in individual
the actual panels.
In the panels itself, yeah.
Yeah. But he does look like he makes a transition from digital paint or traditional painting to digital painting too, in some of those cover pages that are at the beginning of every volume. And those is what, more specifically, or what I'm talking about, feels like it takes it away.
Oh, for the covers?
Yeah. Because it just, I don't know, it doesn't have that same grittiness and that same detail that you get inside. But anyway, yeah. So Shirke Farnice casting that spell, Shirke and Guts have to team up again to go take on this sea god and or this god of the sea, and Guts has to do it pretty much with Shirke, but by themselves. Which,
yeah,
as it's happening, you're like, how?
It was such a funny. I love it. He's like, gotta go. He's like, gotta blast. And he's like jumping on all the rocks to get. And he's like,
yeah, that was a funny way to show that.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, imagine everybody else just sitting around. It's like, okay, this girl just cast a spell, and they think it's like these aurora lights that are just surrounding the ship. This next guy has like a suit of living armor that seems to like possess him, while this other witch casts her astral form, into it, and the other guys are just like, oh, what is happening?
Yeah. Then people are like, oh, you all helped us. Like, well, 2 people helped you.
Yeah.
A lot of people were on the boat clapping.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there.
Yeah. I was like, were they there the whole time?
Yeah, they've been there.
Yeah, they're part of Roderick's gang.
Seahorse gang.
Seahorse gang. The toughest group of the sea.
I saw them holding swords. I'm like, surely they must have stabbed someone.
Yeah. I mean, they try to hold their own, but it's like, how much can you really hold your own of monsters coming out of the ocean?
Yeah, and Yzma is kind of finding out at this point too. Obviously, we found it out in the previous volumes, but that there's no people left in the village, that all of them are tentacles attached to this
deep folk.
That's the deep folk.
That's
I like to think of myself as a deep folk.
Underground folk music.
Deep folk.
Not bad.
But yeah, and so when Guts and Shirke get there, it seems impossible. It's seemed impossible every time he's up against any of these opponents that he's up against. And that's another thing. Like as a writer, I don't know how Miura did it. How he constantly made each big threat that Guts went up against. Like you'd think at a certain point, I would stop feeling like, oh, he can't do this, or oh,
Yeah.
he's not going to make it, just because of everything that he's continued to do.
Yeah.
But the way it's written, I just every time I'm like, I don't know if he's going to get out of this one.
Yeah, it helps that like in between fights, he's just laying in bed covered in bandages.
Yeah.
Because it's it's not like he'll get like injured and then he's gonna be fine for the next fight. It's like, oh, what's he doing when he's not fighting? He's recovering from the last fight he was in. So like, oh, he gets like messed up every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Miura even tends to like cut away and focus on other characters while Guts is like healing. So even as a reader, like, because it would be so easy to say the next chapter happens a month later and Guts is back again. As a reader, that wouldn't feel like much time has passed. So I love that he will cut away and show what's happening in the rest of the world so that it feels
real time.
like real time. You're having to wait to come back to Guts while he waits to heal.
Well, I mean, Guts is already like a crazy person, just his body and what he could take, but also he's like getting a lot of help from like Puck and the other elf girl and Shirke, and now Farnese is able to help him. Like, so he's getting like healed up pretty good.
Yeah, he'd be freaking dead if it wasn't.
Yeah, he really would.
I think Puck used to be more active in fights.
For sure.
Yeah.
Although, like, I mean, there's not much he can do. Like, he was fighting like other sprites and stuff.
Yeah. And he was even like, I think early on, he even like attempted to like fight a couple of the lower level like demons that were coming out of like the campfire.
Yeah.
He's kind of like
he would like ward them off.
Yeah.
He's like a Sidro's babysitter now, though. Like he kind of like gives him advice.
He's a
like,
Sidro's sensei, mentor.
Sure.
Has that bit been
Right.
done before? Because like it's my mentor. It's your babysitter.
It's your babysitter.
So
It's my mentor.
I like it.
Yeah. Puck has kind of become, mostly I think a device for comedy, but I don't mind. I like it. And it's funny because it was for a long time, it did feel like it was just Isidro and Puck that were the comedic relief. But now it's like bled out into like everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. Even Shirke, when she's leaving to go on this like huge mission, she's like, and no graffiti on anybody's face. Okay.
Yeah.
And if I come back, you guys are all getting it.
That's why it's so weird remembering like where this story started, and now it's like, and don't draw mustaches on my face, Isidro. And I'm like, classic Isidro.
It's also crazy too because I remember when in the very very beginning, and we're already reminiscing a little early, but in the beginning when we discovered that Puck even had the ability to heal. In my mind, at that time, at that scale of the story, I was like, oh, this is all Guts is going to need.
Yeah.
He just has one elf healer, and that's how he's going to do all these crazy things. But like when you said it right now, it really hit me. Like, no, he has 2 elves now and a mage and a witch that have to help him recover.
He has 4 healers on his team.
Yeah.
So you got a DPS and a tank, and then just 4 healers.
4 healers. It's so crazy. They go into the belly of the beast, and they're confronted by a large amount of these like monsters. Again, so much so that you're like, how's he going to do it?
And
Parasites.
Guts is hilarious too. He's like, doesn't matter how big it is, it's just a big octopus.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're right. You funny
Well said.
man. Well said. Said enough.
Yeah.
Like,
Enough said.
Enough said.
Yeah, and he in Guts fashion says like we don't need to kill all these things. We just need to go straight for the big guy, and we need to crawl in his mouth and destroy him from the inside, which they do. They enter his mouth and just and no, it's what happens in the story. And it's what makes Berserk so beautiful is that it can be an epic cosmic fantasy on one page, and the next page you're just entering someone's mouth.
And then she came in his eye.
Yeah, and Shirke was, she came on his back this time.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, not in his eye.
Oh my God, Guts is so cute too. He's like, I was like, he calls her Miss Little Good Luck Charm. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, she's like blushing. And that's the thing, everybody's like in love with him too.
Oh my God, everyone.
Yeah.
Literally everyone. Farnese. Well, not Casca.
Roderick.
I mean, Roderick, I wouldn't be surprised if Roderick
has like a man crush, it's like
crush.
Yeah, because I'm like, why'd you take your shirt off when you were like, I'm gonna lead the charge?
Yeah.
And he's like, let me just
Roderick. You know what's crazy about Roderick though? And I think I think what makes me like him even more is that he's not threatened by Guts.
Yeah,
No.
it's not even.
I mean, it's not even a competition.
I mean, it really isn't.
but yeah, it's like he like acknowledges that Fernice like looks at like Guts and stuff, and he's just like, yeah.
I mean, because he knows that like he is in love with Casca. I mean, everyone knows that Casca would not be on board the ship if that wasn't the case. So he's just like, well, that's a thing. So
I don't even know. I think they just figured that out.
Yeah. Well,
like,
I guess they kind of like, I don't know. They knew something was up. But they knew exactly what was up.
When they're talking about the moon child and they're doing all that speculation, it's just like, I guess has not explained any of this to them, has he? Like he hasn't even explicitly said who Casca is. They're like, we can.
Yeah, and you gotta.
The only one that knows is Puck.
You gotta imagine that even. I mean, I guess it's something that you might think you'd assume, but I mean, you could also assume like just someone you're indebted to, family member, like doesn't necessarily have to be a loved one. And I think that was a moment where they all realized like, oh my god, it's been right in front of us this whole time. But speaking of the Moonchild, speaking of who I'm
Guts
pretty
Jr.
sure, we're all sure is Guts Jr.
Yeah, the only reason because all the characters are speculating on it, and then they'll like cut to Guts just like laying in bed, and it's just like, well, you should ask him. You should ask him who the Moonchild is, maybe. And they're like, is it the King of the Elves sending an emissary?
Yeah,
you should ask Guts.
And he has a feeling too.
Oh yeah,
he knows.
I'm every time, because it's a full moon again, and every time we've seen Guts Jr. in this form, this is the second time now, and every time, both times, I just get like giddy, and it makes my heart hurt because it's also like you see Casca take to him just instinctually, and you see just like Guts, like you said, he feels something, he knows something. Whether he's fully aware or not, like he knows. I feel on some level. But before they even leave, the child shows up and actually helps Guts, because this time when he's going into the Berserker armor, the Beast is more aggressive. It's harder to kind of maintain or control, and so the child helps pull Guts back, and then they leave and say, Farnese and everybody else watch Shirke's body and watch Casca, watch the kid, take care of everybody. You get an upgrade, you get a promotion. Yeah. And Shirke does Farnese does feel finally, after she's felt so worthless for so long, in those moments you could see her really finally feel like I'm actually doing something meaningful. Even though taking care of Casca to Guts is the most meaningful thing you can do. But I think she didn't feel it.
Well, it was meaningful to Guts, but was it meaningful to her?
Right.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know this person.
She's like, I don't care.
I want to be a wizard.
I want to be a wizard.
Yeah, you have to babysit this lady. Who is she? Yeah, this is a girl I don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can make soup, I guess.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Everybody's channeling wind sprites, and she's making soup.
And she has the option to do the magic. It was like, well, someone has to make soup.
Yeah, soup is important, though.
Yeah.
It's just very important. Full 3 meals a day.
3 soups a day?
I could probably do more than that.
I know you.
I could probably do about, if I'm being realistic, I could probably do about.
How many soups a day? What's your max soup?
I mean, I'm a max. I don't like to eat more than 1 soup a day, but I could eat probably, I'd say about 25.
Stop.
Soups? Oh, it depends on the size of the bowl.
Well, soup isn't that filling on its own.
That is a lot of soup.
You know what I don't get? Yeah. People are always like, oh, you can't eat soup with a fork. But it's like, I do that all the time. What are you talking about? Like, that's where you eat the ingredients and then you drink from the bowl.
Oh, so you're coming at it sort of from like a ramen or pho sort of angle.
Yeah. When people are like, you need to eat soup with a spoon. It's like, well, if it's a spoon, you can drink. Like, what are you talking about?
It's hard to eat chicken noodle soup, like Campbell's chicken noodle soup with a spoon. Because the noodles are
slip right off.
Yeah. So it's like you end up with all this noodle at the end.
Well, yeah. So it's more practical to do it with a fork. But people are like, oh, it's weird to eat soup with a fork. There's a bunch of jokes about it. I'm like, oh, it's so easy to eat soup with a fork.
Or it's like down to drink soup with a straw.
Okay, well that's
that could be a prank. That could be like, we're gonna record ourselves like eating pho with a. Oh, you've done it.
I did do it.
Yeah, that you should be.
Someone caught me in the act and they said, "What are you doing?" And I just looked at them and I was like, "I know." I just wanted to try it.
Chowder?
I just wanted to try it. No.
Oh, that's gross. That's too far.
That's too far. It's too thick of a soup. It's got to be a light soup.
There's smoothie. There's shakes. Those are thick beverages.
That's different.
Why not a clam chowder?
Oh, here's a life hack for you: dip French fries in clam chowder.
No, I like that.
Okay. So now they go into the belly of the beast, right? And they're destroying it from the inside. It's enormous. The inside of this beast is enormous, but through the odd or ood, Shirke is locating the beast's vital organs, and they're able to locate it. There's stomach acid that's coming from everywhere, and that they have to. That's basically a ticking clock that's gonna devour them or disintegrate them, eat away at them if they don't get to where they need to get to in time. There are more parasites inside. There's ships. There's like a ship graveyard. There are other monsters that Shirke explains have made deals with this like god of the sea. It's pretty epic. It's like a whole nother world inside this Leviathan, which, yeah.
That's a classic way to handle Lovecraftian stuff too, is you end up fighting like the parasite that fell off the monster.
Wow.
And you have no chance of fight. It's like you're not going to fight the monster. You fight the thing that was like eating like the dead skin off it. Yeah.
That's so great. That's so like, I mean, what a hopeless.
Yeah. See, that's why this capture. Yeah. That's what Cosmic Horror is supposed to be. That's why I was like really like excited that it handled it very well, because usually they're like, oh, big monsters, and they're like, I'm going crazy. It's like, no, it's from realizing that you stand no chance against this thing, and like, oh god.
Yeah, and we've had Guts has faced opponents before that have taken either more than just him to finish, like his gang, or maybe they've had other help, but this was like the first time it felt like an all-out war over one creature,
and with just him.
And
I mean, Shirke helps, but
yeah. Well, I mean, and yeah, just like the scale. I mean, with the other people who come to help later, and just everybody involved, and it just was so, the scale of this was so massive, and it was for one creature. But yeah, so Guts is trying to find the vital organs. He is able to slice through one of the walls inside this beast and go get closer to its heart or whatever, and as he gets there are it's,
what a way to defeat a foe.
You have to get close to their heart,
straight to the heart.
Yeah, well, you just got to get close.
You're to blame.
And it's kind of true too. Kind of what happens to Guts is kind of what happens in the real world too. You the closer you get, the more it hurts.
Me?
Well, I mean, just anybody.
You.
But you specifically.
Yeah, you specifically. You.
Like you getting close to someone's heart is kind of like Guts getting close to the heart of the Leviathan. And as he was getting closer, like blood starts coming out of his ears.
Yeah.
That's kind of,
and he like starts to go blind.
And he kind of falls on the ground, and he's like, I can't get up.
Yeah.
Well, how about this? In Berserk, Guts get up in you.
Okay. Okay. I like it because you don't even like it. Okay, Cody. All right.
It's a phrase.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to explain.
It's okay.
You don't get what that's referencing?
Guts up in you?
Okay. I like that too.
Like, what did that?
I just want to be very clear. I like that too.
That's the implication.
Oh, up in the guts?
Yes.
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
It means a thing.
Huh?
It's okay. So, yeah. As he gets closer, the Berserker armor, we find out, yes, is impenetrable. Not impenetrable, but it does allow him to keep going against physical pain, but against this like sort of rumble or this like sonic sort of, I don't even know, attack.
Just being in the presence of it, like a psychic like attack.
Yeah, it does not bode well against any of those things.
No.
Yeah. And so he's bleeding out of his ears and out of his eyes and out of his nose. And
he's getting roughed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't see and hear, like Shirke trying to talk to him, and he's just like, he can hear a little bit, but he's just pretty much going off of instinct at one point.
Yeah. Oh, that was awesome too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't even see, can't even hear. She's guiding him like 4 steps to the right.
Yeah.
To the left. Yeah. And he
hand on blue.
Yeah, right hand blue. Blood, seems like it's coming out of every part of his body. Again, now knowing how this armor works, the heal time for a few of the past fights seemed like they were months. Like, how long is it going to take for him to heal from this one?
Well, psychic damage, what's the recovery time on that?
I mean, I guess it would depend. I don't know.
Psychic damage is purple, though.
But I mean, so you're saying that I think, and I would agree, psychic damage a faster healing time.
Yeah. I mean, that's a magical healing can be done better, right?
Yeah.
Just undo the the horrible psychic assaults from a giant whale octopus.
Easy. Yeah. Dude, and Shirke could do that in her sleep.
Yeah. Which she probably
which she probably will do. It's also like, while this is happening, that Roderick is holding it down. And not only is Roderick holding it down, but he's like inspiring, and he's like inspiring me. I'm reading it and I'm like, dude, I would slay a Leviathan for you, Roderick. I mean, he's commanding everybody like, do not falter now. Like, the enemy is close. We have them in our grasp. All hands on deck, fire. And he's just going crazy.
Yeah,
man.
Roderick is the most fascinating character.
He really is.
Because it's just like, he came in like 2 chapters ago, it feels like, and now he's just, and no one's even like, oh, this. They don't even comment like, oh, he turned out to be like really useful. They're just like, all right, thank you, Roderick.
Yeah. Even Isidro's like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's while they're holding it down too that the all these other parasites, all these other beasts, the mountain that all this is happening in is starting to crumble. Guts is able to eventually get to the heart of this beast and kill this beast. But as that happens, blood starts flooding him, and Shirke gets pulled back to her body. So now, it's that classic thing. And I think here it's just done so well. And like you said, similar to like how Cosmic Horror, you'll be fighting a parasite off of one of these beasts. In this fight, it was done so well that like the big bad, how is he going to defeat it? Believing that there was no way he could do it. And then once he does, realizing like, oh, that's not even the hard part.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like honestly, like this, yeah, like I don't know if you've like checked out Cosmic Horror before. This is a great like depiction of it.
I guess I really haven't.
And that's it. Most things pull it off so bad that this is like one of the most. This is why I really like it. This is like probably the best adaptation of like a Cosmic Horror thing in like where people still fight and it doesn't feel cheap, because usually they'll just go like, and then we shoot it, and it's like, well, that's not how it's supposed to go.
Yeah, I mean, even like, yeah,
except that one story.
Even if they would
shot it
and it worked,
yeah, but it was like it was just a guy who had a giant head.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
It was
big headshot.
Yeah.
It was what? What was it?
I was gonna say it was the president or something.
Oh God,
I liked it though. But yeah, even here, like, yeah, he defeats it and it ends up causing him more trouble. And then there's more things that he has to deal with. He's drowning. Now he doesn't have Shirke. Shirke's gone.
And during like all of this, a little bit before is like when we find out Yzma is like full-fledged now. Right?
Well, I mean, I think it's
Is
right
that
around
after?
the time where, because,
right here.
Yeah, because Roderick's holding it down with the tentacles, the pirates, the pirate captain, he's kind of back.
I'm
The
so
pirate
done.
captain is there.
I'm so done with him.
He was in the cave. He was in the belly of the beast too. I mean, he wasn't. He was in the story this time around, or these chapters, just enough to not really bother me.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, because like they're fighting that like a sea god, and they're like, oh, like, what the fuck are you still doing here?
Yeah. And it's just the way that it's written too. It's like he has sentience, like, and they're, it's like him and his goons, and they're like, boss, I can't feel my legs, boss. And he's like, just pretend like you got bit by a jellyfish and let's go. And it's just like, okay, all right.
Just pretend you got
Just pretend you got stung by a jellyfish.
by a bee.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, he was in it just enough to not really bother me. But while they're fighting, Yzma keeps saying she's hearing the voices, that they're louder, and Isidro, they're able to. That's the thing. Roderick and his gang, and sure, he's getting some help, but they're able to chase off the tentacles or the or the pirates. But it's in the midst or the aftermath of all that Isidro falls in, because when the Leviathan basically is being killed or comes out of that cave and starts to swirl. And that was another thing too. Cosmic Horror, obviously the scale of it, the clouds in the sky, like the whole ocean is like swirling around this thing because it's just massive. That's what causes Isidro to go overboard, for Yzma to jump in and then hear a voice that allows her to transform basically into a marrow or a mermaid.
Like say your true name and then which
is explain like
Innsmouth thing.
Don't.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Fish people. Someone finds out they're a fish person.
This does have to be then. Have to be.
That's why I don't know. Yeah,
even with Yzma.
That was the last straw. Like, oh, I didn't even make that. It's like, it's so like exact, and it's so like a good adaptation of it too that I'm like, it has to be a reference or tribute or something.
Yeah. Wow.
Because it's already like, it's a European fantasy story, so he's already like going into like other like settings and genres and doing like his adaptation of it or version of it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and it's like you said, I mean, I haven't even read those stories, but to me, I mean, it seems like it's done so well just based on what was here, what we read.
No, yeah, it would be like, oh, what should I check out if I want to get into Lovecraft? You could check out these couple of volumes of Berserk, because
it might. I don't know if it's blasphemous to say necessarily, because I'm sure Lovecraft obviously came out way earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Is it blasphemous to say that like this is a better version of?
Well, it's a better adaptation than some stories. Because it might be, I don't know, too much of a tangent, but well, also Lovecraft, the stories are a shared universe, and other writers can like jump in and out. That's why it's like kind of iffy on what's canonical or not. Like basically, if you do it right, you kind of are it. Mm-hmm. But it's a better adaptation than you'll see in a lot of official adaptions, because so many things are just like, oh, like octopuses are scary. No, that wasn't the point.
Right. Right.
The point was the horror at realizing the scale of things and everything. And
I mean, I have to finally get around to checking out some of those stories. There's manga versions of them too, which we've talked about reviewing, and we still should, just because it's not Spooktober.
Yeah, let us know if you want a manga, because that's my favorite, and it has such an interesting moral at the end that I really like. Yeah,
because for sure, Mountains of Madness has a manga adaptation, and does Shadow over Ismith have a?
It probably does, because I don't know. Those are his two stories. Those are and also Call of Cthulhu. That's like everything is based on that in pop culture, but. At the Mountain of Madness is like the war of the world.
Huh. Well, yeah, let us know if you want to see us review and talk about that, because
if you've seen anything with fish people, it's Shadow over Innsmouth.
Wow.
He was the Berserk of horror.
H.P. Lovecraft was.
Yeah.
Oh, you could say he was the Berserk of. Okay, yeah.
I agree with you that it wasn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't. I agree with you. I was hoping you would come up with a better way of saying it, because I was like, no, I'm wrong.
But then you really start to do the work, and you're like, I mean, that is the.
It's the best we're gonna do for a while.
Yeah. But it's so cool, because once that transformation has been completed, she realizes that she was able to do it because she heard someone speak her name. She's about to speak her name, and then Shirke's elf, who I always forget the name of, tells her, "Don't speak your name, because that's what gives you your power. And if you tell people your name, they can control you or have control over you."
She's like, I don't really mind telling everyone here on the ship my name. She's like, don't.
Yeah.
Don't trust anyone.
The story becomes so like high fantasy of like, you know, like it's more of like celebratory music playing, where she's like, I'm so happy to be, and I'm like, oh, is she gonna take a turn? Is she gonna be like, oh, I have to go, oh, now that I've become my true self? She's like, oh, this is great, I can do this now.
Yeah.
And I can transform anytime I want.
I can catch all the fish I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd never reveal your dark secret. I don't even care about that.
Yeah, she's like, who cares? That'd be so funny if she just shouted her name out.
And Isidra's so cute too. He's just like, everyone's like, oh my God, it's a marrow. And he's like, you got a problem with that? Defending her.
And he was so, Isidro is kind of also a guy who is jealous, I guess, of how much action people get in battle. But when she did what she did, like, Isidro was like, you were great. Like, you were awesome. And that's also really cool to see him do. But it's at that point too that she hears the voices again, and Guts. Everybody needs to go help Guts get out, because he's basically drowning in blood inside of this Leviathan. And that's when Roderick sets out and basically leads that rescue mission. He's like, we got to sail closer on a lifeboat, closer to it. Takes his shirt off, hops in the freaking mouth of it.
Yeah, the shirt. Yeah,
it was too much, but.
I mean, he's in great shape.
He's great shape. He's got a body for it. If you got a body for it,
yeah.
I mean, if I had a body for it,
we have to go save Gus.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh no, if someone was at the door, maybe like, oh no, even if it was like, maybe, oh, Cody's here to record, I would take my shirt off, but I just don't have the body for it.
Yeah.
No, you do.
Not yet. Oh, that took a long time.
What'd you say?
I said he does.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Of course.
I'll take it off right now.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, just for the viewers, I'll spare the viewers. The listeners would have no idea, but I'm sparing the viewers. It's also here that we see Guts wake up, and he's in the mouth of the Leviathan. He has kind of no idea how to escape. but again is led by the presence or the astral form of either the moon child.
It's Guts Jr.
It's
Guts Jr.
Yeah.
We call him Guts Jr.
We
here
call
in this
him-
household, okay?
Yeah,
They
in this
call him the
household
moon
more-
child.
Yeah,
Yeah, we call him
Guts Jr.
Guts Jr.
Yeah.
Guts Jr. or small intestine.
small intestine, formerly now Guts Jr.
Nah, Guts Jr.
Yeah. And Guts gets to kind of ask him a few questions. He doesn't really get any answers, but he gets to talk to him and ask him, like, who are you? Like, what are you doing? Like, how are you doing this? Again, no answers, but just to see him communicating with this spirit, recognizing it is, again, enough in this moment. And, ultimately he helps lead him towards an exit. He is rescued, and with the help of, obviously, how he was able to defeat the Leviathan in the first place was with the help of the rest of the Marrows, which, Yzma reconnects with her mother and sees her mom, and they're able to use their voice to kind of nullify the rumblings or the other sort of roar or whatever it is that the Leviathan is making. And so we see them all help go save Guts as well, because this is something, according to that legend, that they've always wanted to achieve and never been able to. And now with the help of all these people, they were finally able to achieve killing this god of the sea, this evil god of the sea.
Yeah, I expected an evil twist with the mermaid clan too. And they're just like, we fight against the sea god. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
great.
We fight against the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it when they make mermaids evil, dude. I'm not a fan of that.
I was like, what's your problem?
Yeah,
like,
what's your
chill.
freaking problem? For
They're-
real.
Every time is like, and then it's like, oh, they look cool, and then they're like,
And they're sneaky. It's like,
Yeah.
what
No,
are you
they're
trying to
do that
say?
bullshit in Harry Potter, dude. Where
Yeah.
they made the mermaids like freaking evil
Yeah.
vampires of the
It's-
sea.
That was a scary scene.
Yeah, but it's like, come on, J.K. Rowling.
do vampire. You have vampires. Don't
Yeah, you
do-
have vampires.
Don't
You
make
have-
mermaids vampires.
Yeah, chill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to take a moment to reach out to J.K. Rowling if you're listening right now.
which we know you are.
Which we know you are, yeah. And I just want to say that. I just want to say
F
this.
you.
Well, I don't want to say F you. I
F
don't-
you Rollings.
I do
How about
wanna
that?
F
say-
you rolling. I just want to say get it together.
Get.
Get it
I
in
don't
gear.
know. I
Get in
mean,
gear. Yeah.
she's kind of off the deep
Yeah,
end.
she's gone. She's gone.
Crazy.
We've lost her.
Yeah,
We've
no.
lost her.
What a
I mean, I never
fun-
had
to her
her.
mind.
What a fun story that legacy turned into.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and then they got a Twitter and
Yeah,
And
The
started
same
sharing
mind.
their personal beliefs.
Yeah, the same mind that gave us the same mind that gave us the story of a generation. Also gave us
140 characters of
wizards
Hate.
used
Yeah.
to poop themselves.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, wizards don't need toilets. And it's like, JK,
It's
how
like
much?
they're still human beings.
Yeah. Do you have that? Somebody needs to take some of her money away.
They used to.
take her phone away.
And
Just
it,
take her
it
phone
is
away.
like, until until muggles invented toilets, they just pooped their pants and made it magically disappear. It's like, well, why would you ever not? Why would you be like, oh, well, now I'll hold it until I find a place and I have
Yeah.
to buy a coffee or something?
Yeah, that was originally what Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was going to be about.
The origin of.
Yeah, it was going to be about where to find.
The-
Oh
yeah.
my
Poop.
God. If
Yeah.
you do a Harry Potter prequel, if it takes place before the invention of the toilet, you have to include the fact that they poop themselves.
It's canon.
That's
okay.
like a legitimate part of the story. If they're like, 100 years ago, oh, yeah, we're going to.
Oh man, you hate to see it, but yeah, the marrow here, the Mer people. I mean, it's so awesome. They all just and the climax of it, leading up to Guts being able to finally execute the god of the sea, and just them helping find his body afterwards. Just the epicness of seeing this fleet, this school of Marrow come to help, and even Yzma, who I barely know, getting to see her reconnect with her mom was so cool too, and having like a good reason, or her mom having or understanding, like not asking her to like come with us, like there was kind of none of that. It was,
Which, yeah, you expect it to be like, I'm sorry, I have to go, but I'll treasure our memories for always, forever
Yeah.
as my friends. And she's just like, you're doing good for yourself, huh? All right, good.
yeah, right. I mean, so many other stories that would have been a whole
Mhm.
arc that Yzma would have had to go through, but it's kind of like, no, I mean, we don't really know each other. You're my daughter. I love you. I care about you. I'm glad you're doing well.
Yeah, she leaves for a bit. She joins the clan. Then she goes like, no, you guys aren't. Those were my friends. I have to go back.
Yeah,
And then she's like, I changed my mind.
yeah.
No, it's just like,
No, I love that though, because it just cuts through all that and just gets you to where you're gonna get eventually. It was so cool to see all of that happen and to see the end of that battle. What an awesome climax! What an awesome ending! And of course, at the end, as they're setting sail, now Yzma's a part of the crew now, and Guts is resting again, and Casca comes in, and she's upset because Moonchild, Guts Jr., is MIA. And now Shirke's starting to kind of put something together. I still think she's way off, but she's starting to realize that, okay, well, we were on a remote island. There's marrow that are everywhere. He couldn't have fallen overboard. He has to be, I couldn't sense his ood, his odd, whatever. He has to be some sort of astral being or magical being. So she does think, and I think you said it earlier, Cody, that he is a scout or the king from
the king's astral projection sent to guide us there, and
or to test them or to like scope them out, kind of see what they're all about before they get there.
Which it's like, yeah, that makes sense. But you're like you're having this conversation next to the guy that could be like,
yeah. And he's just
it might
out.
be actually
it's more than likely we had a kid. That's
he's like he sits Shirke down and he's like, all right, so there's this guy named Griffin.
From the very beginning, Shirke's like
yeah. And also the Miro are all hanging around to guide. So we still might get that goodbye once they get to the, like Yzma still might have get that goodbye with her mom once they get to the Elf Island, but they're all leading them and all kind of giving them safe passage.
What an interesting team it has turned into by the end. You have a mermaid, 2 elves, like a kid sidekick, and
a mage now,
a mage, a sorcerer, and then I got a guy who like has the power of wind sprites.
What?
It's like never would have predicted that.
Never. And even as it's happening, you're like, no.
The mermaid join?
Yeah.
Okay. Some water missions are going to happen though.
I want the story to go on forever. And as the cast grows and as they meet more people, I'm like, it could have. Like it could have.
Mm-hmm. Could have been a bunch of fun adventures.
Yeah. But, I'm just happy that it exists at all.
mm-hmm.
That's kind of where this ends. That's kind of where this sort of chunk ends. And
got back to all I do is win.
Well, before that,
before that,
because Guts is kind of fading off, and then it's a flashback. We get a flashback, and we get young Guts again.
Woo!
Yeah, you really like that, huh?
It was just nice to see him again.
It was nice to see him.
Not like anything else.
I wasn't saying that.
No, what do you mean?
No,
okay,
you're projecting.
Okay. So when me and Cody, when you say sussiness. And me and Cody call you out.
You didn't say anything sussy. You reacted as if you said something sussy, which made it sussy.
For the record, Josh is the sussiest baka, and we've been over that many a time.
I'm not
true.
Sussy nor a baka.
You're the sussiest baka.
Though.
Yeah, you're right. You're neither sussy or a baka. You're both a sussy baka.
You're the sussiest baka.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's a good point, that you're not one or the other. And I'm glad you've really come to realize your identity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think
because I feel like inside you are 2 wolves. One is a sussy and one is a baka. And whoever turns out, and you eat so much that you're feeding them both.
Well, I'm going to just ignore that last part. I'm going to ignore that last part and pretend that you didn't say that. The first part, 2 negatives. What do 2 negatives make? A positive. Being sussy is a bad thing, and being a baka is a bad thing. But together, 2 negatives, a positive. So maybe I am a sussy baka, but the sussiness cancels out the bakaness.
2 negatives make an apostle.
And they're pretty bad too, but also they're pretty strong.
Being a baka doesn't cancel out being sussy.
And you're the sussiest, so it's a different level.
That's
of
if you multiply them, then it cancels. If you add a negative and a negative, they don't become a positive. It just becomes more negative.
If you add, okay, well, to that point, they were saying
you got it.
You knew going down the math route was really gonna strengthen your argument.
He knows how to do it.
Well,
is he gonna do
you're multiplying being a normal amount of sus with more sus, making me the sussy. So there's already a multiplication factor.
No, you're sussy. Adding. You're sussy squared. Because it's sussiest.
Well, Cody's sussy squared. I'll be a sussy baka because he's a sussy square. You know?
How dare you? We were having a nice conversation.
Oh, were we? Oh, were we?
Yeah, we were.
My apologies. I must have misread that entire
I must have misread that entirely.
conversation.
You are a sociopathic.
Moving on. Flashback. Guts. We see his mercenary days. We see him taken prisoner, and we see him being led, either to be taken prisoner somewhere else, or for him to be, I don't know, tortured. Who knows what they did with those?
Who knows
those
what
mercs.
japes and hijinks those mercs will get up to.
Yeah. Who knows what kind of ghost ships they were on?
Yeah, you get a flashback and you see a guy, and this is like he's like staring out at the ocean, and you just see yeah. And it's he was with him the whole time.
The guy in the shackles was
the pirate.
Yeah, Martino.
Yeah, Martino. And I had to do a double take because like the way they cut to him and then the way they cut to Gambino right after, I was like,
Are they the same?
I was like, yeah, is there supposed to be some sort of relation between the two of these people?
Gambino's scarier.
But yeah, I mean, it was kind of a really beautiful, and of course, anything from Guts' past is going to be sad, but it was a beautiful story. Just with this guy who helped him escape, but then only helped him escape so that he could escape, which set the tone for, I guess, all of Guts' friendships that were going to come after that, to help him out so they could really just help themselves out. And he runs into this guy later again. But before that, it cuts to him and Gambino on the battlefield. Gambino's giving him a couple lessons, like don't trust anybody, and that even includes your old dad. Or
of
whatever.
course, yeah, the one you shouldn't trust the most.
And we know that. Yeah,
should be me.
Yeah, did the most fucked up stuff.
Yeah, the most damage.
Yeah, for sure.
Than anyone else he could have trusted.
Well,
second most.
Was the guy who did the most for a long time.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then right around, I mean, how old do you think Guts was when the eclipse happened?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No,
something else happened.
No.
I was like, we should.
Yeah,
When the eclipse?
No.
I don't know. I assume he was like a.
In his early 20s?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I can't imagine he's 40 right now.
It says
so.
Casca's like 24.
So he was probably maybe 21 when that happened. Maybe.
Mhm.
But he's, yeah.
Well, yeah, because he started soldiering pretty. Yeah, he was probably like a early 20s.
Yeah. He cuts to also being taken prisoner, and he's captured and he's kind of saved by this king, but only so that he can be used to fight this kingdom's prince who has a taste for battle or whatever.
Or he doesn't have a taste for battle.
Yeah.
They said doesn't, and then when they got there, when the battle actually happened, he was like, oh, he has a thirst for blood, and he decapitates.
Well, I think that's the reputation they wanted to project for him. So they were gonna feed him a starved soldier to kill, and then like, yeah, look how like he cut him down with no hesitation. When they basically were feeding him an easy target so the public could see him kill someone.
Gotcha.
And I think part of what I liked is basically it was like it was like I don't want to. He doesn't have the warrior spirit, so that's the situation. So that's why he loses.
Gotcha.
It was the way I interpret it, he was basically just the son that didn't become the warrior that the king wanted him to be. And he's like, I'm gonna make him a warrior.
Fake it to make it.
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah. But while Guts is there and he's injured, obviously from trying to escape. So he's in there. He's injured. They're not going to heal him. They're not going to feed him because they want him to fail. He comes across the first elf he's ever seen. There was an elf before Puck. And that elf's name is, I have it written down here. It is, and I lost it. I had it written
Chich.
down and I lost it. Chich. What a name.
Like the rat.
Like the rat.
Yeah.
That's a rat?
The rat that, huh? She like the rat makes the noise. That's what she said.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess she named herself after the
rat noise.
sound that a rat makes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Guts is like, I mean, he's eating rats down there. He's trying to stay alive, and
I could be reading too much into this. Okay. Or it could be so obvious that I'm gonna get made fun of, but I'm willing to put myself out there.
Let's see where this coin lands.
But I think the moral of this flashback, because I'm thinking, why this flashback? Why now? Right. And what happens with Chich is that basically Guts kind of sees her, is kind to her compared, seems different than all the other prisoners that have been there before. So starts to heal him and help heal him. And to do that has to give her leaves to him. But once all her leaves are gone, her flower withers away and she just disappears. She's no longer there. And I think, that it's also a way of showing, sort of what Guts is doing right now. He's giving all his leaves to Casca, right? To try to heal her. Yeah. And you guys like it, or was that too obvious?
No, that's I like. Yeah, because is there like more to it before we like talk?
I mean,
about
pretty
that?
much that's
Well,
it.
he's giving his leaves to Casca, and the whole group too.
But more,
at this point,
He's giving himself up for other people.
Yeah, more for Casca, and it's like it's becoming, because like the elf disappeared, the Skull Knight told him he will lose his humanity by continuing to protect Casca and continuing to use his berserker armor. Like he will in essence disappear because he's continuing to give himself and do that to protect everybody else, but mainly Casca.
I think that whole, because like at the end he like has the flower and he brings it, so like he inherits the flower to so I think that's a pretty solid theory. Yeah, that last part really finished it. And I think it was beautiful to see him in the field holding the flower too, and mid battle. Which again, for a minute, I thought that battle happening between him and that prince, I was like, and that's where maybe this whole retcon thing came from, because I was like, is this the guy he was fighting before the Band of the Hawk found him? Because it wasn't, but their armor was super similar. I had to like do double takes, but it's not. He's obviously he defeats him and then gets free, because he uses him as like as a hostage to like get out or whatever. He I like the king be like, what is this
happening? Yeah, I know. It's like he's a mercenary.
Yeah, dude, you think he's like
trained
vet
fighter.
him, like see if he can actually fight before you throw him in the ring with your son.
Well, he was being healed, so at that point when they put him in the ring, they thought he was for sure like way more far gone than he actually
Guts
was.
could have done it in even that condition.
No.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Nope.
Along the lines of like, I don't know, like, because like the feeling I got, it was also the sense of like, because like the story's starting to become like, like things aren't purely awful anymore. And then you do see that like in his past he was like given help and he was like shown like light and everything. And now there's this thing of like, like what I don't like in a story is it's always like the devil has all the power, and they're like, well, doesn't that mean angels exist? Shouldn't they be doing stuff? Yeah. And so you do see that like, there were things that were like helping this guy get through it. And like, I don't like the feeling I got, especially when you're coming off like mermaids fighting off a sea god and like carrying Guts, and then you see like in his past he was like, he had to do all of it, but he was given help by like outside like magical forces.
Yeah, you're right. We do spend so much of this series focusing on these like evil creatures, and we've seen elves. Elves have been a part of the story from the beginning, but to see like the marrow now and just other kind magical creatures is nice.
And he just mentions that like he wasn't sure if it was a dream or not, which makes absolute sense. Yeah. It's not like that's.
But like, he is a touching and sweet moment where he takes it to that place. He takes it to that field. Much like he's taking Casca to the Elf Island.
No, I think that might be a solid theory you got there.
I hope so, dude. I mean, let me know in the comments, dude. Be gentle, but and that's sort of the flashback, and it was a really beautiful flashback. But then it cuts to and kind of towards the end. There is a lot to talk about here, but it is sort of the last group of people and the last place that we're at. Is it cuts to Rickert and Erica going, we don't know where yet, but they're down this path, and you just see Rickert. He has sort of like a modified what Guts has on his arm, but a bigger, badder version of it. Yeah. He is awesome.
Yeah,
I like
awesome.
that, like, they're just arrows being dumped into like the receptacle and then like firing straight from it.
And even to see him later on, like once they get to their destination, like become almost like an inventor or an engineer. I mean, he's basically like reverse engineering with sort of these parts that he's found, like a fire hose and a fire hydrant kind of thing. He's just such a cool character, and I wish
if there was going to be a spinoff.
Yeah. This kind of felt like a little spinoff.
I loved it though. I loved it.
A gadgeteer guy like coming out of like when fantasy things start going out of hand.
Yeah.
Because you see like the way they like handle a threat. You're like, oh, that's using tactics and tricks.
Yeah, because he, ultimately the choice that he does make would, and we did leave off on a big cliffhanger, but if he is able to kind of go where he wants to go and do what he wants to do, that would be an awesome spinoff.
Yeah,
Watch the next chapter, he freaking dies.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think they could even I don't know if they'll cross paths again.
Right.
But I think that they would make he'd make a good member of that team
Oh
too.
yeah, man.
Oh, they
And
get
Erica-
a tech specialist to give everyone equipment.
And
Yeah.
Erica, she's not they could protect her. It's like it's like maybe even a little better than Casca at this point.
She gets her own suits. So you have someone that can enchant magical stuff, and then you have someone who can give everyone automated crossbows and explosives.
Erica loves Casca anyway.
Erica loves Casca?
Erica can take care of Casca.
And Fernice can get back to learning more about magic.
Maybe this will happen. Maybe because, I don't know geographically where, what sea they're on and where, but Rickert is sort of he's leaving where he is at. So I don't know how they would cross paths, but.
Isn't Falconia in Midland?
Falconia is in Midland, yeah.
Like the capital of Midland? Like near the castle? Or no?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
I think.
But
Anyway.
why?
No, just asking because I don't know.
I know where that's at. I just have no idea where
the other
Elf
people are.
Island or
If
where.
the story does lead to them meeting with Griffith at the capital, then there's the way for them to meet with Rickett.
Yeah, and that's another thing too that I'm starting to believe that we're just not going to see again. I don't know how these paths are going to cross. I don't know if Guts and Griffith are ever going to cross paths again. I don't know how. I don't know how they would. Maybe through some sort of astral means. The Skull Knight could always just tear through reality, but
after he absolutely bombs that last mission.
That'd be so crazy.
He's embarrassing.
If we never see him again after that.
He's just like, I freaking made a whole sword out of these things. I cut. Well, it made mermaids happen, I guess.
No one saw that, right?
Yeah, I've been talking about this for years.
No one saw
I
that,
couldn't
right?
stop Griffith, and he did that on his own.
Yeah.
And someone did say, by the way, in the comments that it was actually that Femta was actually able to grab the not necessarily the blade, but the slice, through warping of time and space.
Which is one that mentions he changed the physics of the world. Which the comment made it clear that Griffith basically parried the attack with his magic
and literally altering sort of reality, which is crazy.
Yeah. It was Skull Knight, that was your whole.
And I did have it highlighted here, and I kind of forgot before we go too much into the Rickert thing. I know we talked about the flashback thing, but not only was the Moonchild, I just have to talk about this. The Moonchild, not only is he gone, but Guts kind of sees him in the moon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that was not only beautiful, it was I was enchanted by it. He's almost dancing.
Were you hearing wind chimes?
I was hearing wind. I felt wind.
You broke wind?
Yeah.
That could have been it.
Yeah, it's something about it just hit me right in my core.
It hit
and
me
just
in my
this,
guts.
this feeling just left my body.
Yeah. It was like a vapor.
It was a vapor, I would say. And it did feel warm. It was a warm feeling. It was a warm feeling, but that could have been anything. A lot of things feel warm, people say it's heartwarming.
Yeah.
This was
so heartwarming. It warms the heart.
Yeah. Yeah, I did feel it in my heart a little bit too. I did feel it in a little bit in my heart.
Oh, that heartburn.
Joshism that he said. We need to bring Joshisms. It was so heartwarming, it warmed my heart.
And that's really fucked up that you brought that back.
I forgot.
That's really crazy. That's really crazy that you did that. But you know what, too? I think that, I think that if
people don't know, that's how he talks sometimes. As his eyes closed, it was so heartwarming.
It was so heartwarming. It was heartwarming.
I didn't say it was so heartwarming. It was heartwarming.
Look,
I didn't say that.
Heartwarming. It's heartwarming.
I didn't say that. I said it was so heartwarming. It warmed my heart. Maybe there's some colder people out there.
You're gonna defend it. You're maybe an insane person.
Oh, it was okay. Let me just say this. if it's you know how sometimes you can go somewhere and you can be like, damn, it's warm in here, and people can go like, I was just about to put on a jacket.
You know, some people
know?
say it's so warm in here, I feel warm.
No. Some people would say, man, it's warm in here, I'm warm. They would say it like that.
No.
They would say it like that.
That someone is
No
you, and they'd be
one.
doing a Josh's.
No, well, they'd be the freaking life of the party, dude.
No one's debating that.
Oh.
I like it now. I do talk like that. I like that. You know, you 50 insults, one compliment.
I'm back.
I'm on board. I'm
back. I'm alive.
I'm on the seahorse, you know?
Oh.
Anyway.
Saddle up.
When
Yeah.
he great. When he is on that cloud dancing around the moon, he freaking like shoots off like he's a shooting star.
Yeah, that was like, oh yeah, he travels through like a an
Yeah.
ethereal
Yeah.
tunnel.
Yeah.
And
Okay. All right, Megan.
he's legitimately becomes a shooting star.
Yeah, he really does.
It is weird when you say it out loud like that, though. I'll agree with Megan on that one.
Yeah.
He was a shooting star.
Yeah,
The
he
moon child
was.
became a shooting star.
Yeah. Guts Jr.'s a star.
He's gonna be a star.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
like
everyone's like, that kid someday.
yeah.
He's
If,
gonna be
for
a
anybody,
star.
if you have a friend or something, know someone that's just starting Berserk, just tell them that. Tell them, oh, you know that embryo kid's gonna be a star.
You'll be a star someday. Aim for the moon child, and then you'll become a shooting star.
That is really good.
It could have been reworked a little bit, but yeah.
I don't think so, dude. I think it's great. So yeah, Rickert in Gatling gun or arrow, crossbow, Gatling crossbow is on his way.
It's a
to Falconia or Falconia.
And I've been
And-
saying it since episode 2.
Oh yeah, you were saying your prediction or something came true. What?
What are they fighting?
They're fighting trolls.
No, after that.
There's a couple like the harpy things that come down.
No.
a cockatrice.
Oh wow.
Band of the Cock.
Oh wow.
It finally came true. I literally gasped out loud. I was like, what are the odds they would fight a chicken?
Wow.
Rooster.
A cockatrice. It's a griffin, but a chicken. It's a griffin, but chicken.
It's a griffin, but chicken. And
it's a-
Griffith
But Griffith
is
is kind of a chicken.
chicken.
He's actually kind of.
He's
not
a pigeon bitch.
He's a pigeon.
bitch.
We've talked about
He
this
is a
before.
pigeon.
He's not a chicken. He is a pigeon bitch.
Yeah.
It's Griffish the
Griffish.
Griffish the pig and bitch.
It's hard.
Someone help me out
It's
here.
a tongue twister.
Why is that hard to say?
Griffith
pigeon
the
bitch.
pigeon bitch.
It is.
Griffish the cockatrice.
No.
the pigeon. Why is that so hard?
It's hard. It's a
Griffin?
tongue twister.
Griffith.
Griffin?
Right?
Oh god. Griffin.
Griffith the pigeon. Oh, it is
Right?
hard.
What is that?
The pigeon bitch.
Griffith the pigeon.
No.
Griffith the pigeon bitch.
Griffith the pigeon bitch.
There you go. You
Okay.
got it. You got it.
Wow. Try it at home. Freaking causality, not letting us
Yeah,
insult
dude.
him.
Try it at home. It's hard.
Griffith.
Yeah. Try to type that 5 times fast in the comments.
Yeah, I dare you.
I dare you.
They're on their way. They're fighting.
Cockatrice is one of the end game bosses in Dragon's Dogma, by the way.
Oh, really?
And it's straight up the ability it has. Like,
Uh-huh.
oh yeah, like that's where they took that from.
Wow.
Oh.
It looked crazy. Too.
Yeah.
It looked.
They're weak
scary.
to thunder.
Okay. Well, all right. Weird flex, but they basically they make it to Falconia. And once they're there, this is where we get sort of a reunion that I did not expect.
Mhm.
And it's not really a reunion because they don't know each other, but this kingdom, because they're saved by I forgot the guy's name, but they're saved by one of the knights.
Not
Azan, but,
the reverse centaur.
The reverse centaur. They're saved by him,
Oh,
and they're led by
Irvine.
him. Or they're led by Irvine, but then there's also those other two guys, the guy with the mustache and the guy with the kind of like bob cut guy.
Owen?
Owen is one of them. Yeah, Owen is one of them.
Yeah, Owen.
And he does kind of look like Owen Will. I can see Owen Wilson playing him too.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the mustache guy too. I think Owen is the. Anyway,
Bob.
Oh, the
Bob.
guy that like. Yeah, he like led him. Oh, with the flowing locks.
that is Locust.
No.
That's later.
That's later, yeah.
Yeah, that's later. But anyway, they get led back to Falconia, and you see the city, because before we just saw it rising from the earth, but now we see it functioning. as a city full of people, and we see its economy, and we see it's like bustling, and we see that it's actually seems like a pretty nice place to live.
Yeah.
For its refugees, for its citizens, for its like even like prisoners of war. Like there was Christians there who were
everyone's kind of equal.
Yeah. And like everyone is familiar with the war demons, and they're like, yeah, like they live over there, and
we don't go over there.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they fight each other to like stay in top shape, and they also just like fighting. But it is just like, I mean, it's not like they're like a secret thing of being fed anyone. Like it's not like people are secretly being like fed to the demons.
Right.
So Mehgan was right about the cock. I think I was right about the issue being Griffith did make things better for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it is like. We've gotten some comments, and I think that's going to be a big part of the live that we do at the end is picking some of our favorite comments that really help us or help explain things or, frame things. But we got some comments previously about how these are people that would have died or would have lived or died anyway. I mean, it's not sort of up to Griffith. Griffith is still doing these things for the wrong reason. And he is having to sacrifice and kill people that he cares about to get there. So it's not that he is necessarily at all a good person, but I do.
It's the end result. Is it better or worse off if like it didn't? Yeah, it's the Doctor Doom conundrum.
It's the Doctor Doom conundrum. I keep calling it the Ozymandias conundrum as well.
Two different worlds.
Two different properties.
Yeah, IPs.
I think because I think it's the same thing, right? Because that's what kind of how the Watchmen the comic book ended is Ozymandias was going to summon an alien to it was going to destroy New York.
For Watchmen.
Yeah, it was going to destroy New York, and people were going to die, but it was going to unite people against once they knew the existence of aliens and that how big of a threat they were. It was going to unite humanity, ultimately saving it from itself.
And the issue on top of that being, well, it already happened. So you can can either reveal that it was a lie and like waste the option now.
Yeah, that's what made it a lot more interesting. You're right.
Because it wasn't like, oh, should we let him do it? It's like no. Now you have to decide if you want to expose me or not.
Yeah.
Because much like Griffith, the deaths have already happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. So because Griffith, it's already happened. The eclipse has already happened. Everything's already happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you shatter this reality?
Like even exposing what Griffith did. Now the issue is, now he's a religious figure that is keeping everything peaceful.
Yeah, well, now first of all, no one is going to believe you. Because you have no trump card.
I mean, he's a god. He can summon ghosts and stuff.
Yeah, and your only trump card would have been, you think this guy, this beautiful guy, is Mr. Good guy, but look behind this curtain at all these demons. Like he's out.
Now they know about those.
Yeah. And it's almost because of their existence that humanity and everybody is united, because he's like, these are the good ones. There's a lot more bad ones out there. We got to stop fighting each other. We got to fight them.
They also like freely have like cushions in the team, and they're like, well, we're just here to help people, and it's like it's a multicultural kingdom now.
Yeah,
and it's like, but he did this to make this all happen,
and they're explaining, once Rickert gets there that Griffith's even given humanity hope beyond death. Everybody was so afraid of death because of the uncertainty of what came after it. But now Griffith is able to prove without beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is a world after this. So people are like happier and more content.
In this kingdom, you can go to mass and Griffith will personally let you say goodbye to your loved ones, who will assure you there's an afterlife. Like that, it's kind of paradise.
I know, man. And it is, this is what I love about Griffith as a villain, is that he is not the villain a skybeam villain. He is.
That's a good term, a skybeam villain.
He's someone who is like, you question it. You question like what you would do. And that's what made you, I think, or me, the reader, question even like what Rickert was going to do. Because now it's not just about Rickert, it's about Erica too. And like, was he going to make that sacrifice for Erica too? Because he would have been gone if it was just him. But I think maybe that's why he was maybe struggling with it. I don't know. But he gets there and he's shown how everything works, and he meets Luca again, which so awesome to see Luca. Luca's holding it down there too. She's more badass than ever. She's just commanding her group of gals.
They're on a bed and breakfast or something.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Maybe they run a.
No,
Well-
they don't there.
Oh, they don't.
I think they left that
No, it's
life
paradise.
behind.
You told me.
Of course they do.
Yeah. And they don't obviously Rickert and Luca don't know that they both know Guts or have encountered Guts.
I really like anything like we had a bunch of inventions, like a sword that was like so big only one man could carry. It was like a hunk of iron or something. Like, yeah, that sword.
I thought that was gonna give it away. I thought
Yeah.
they were like, but not even a passing thought
No.
was given to that comment. We see, like you said, the old man there, and we just see a lot of these characters that we've seen throughout the series sort of in this one location and kind of all at peace and all getting along with each other and all living their best lives.
And really, Guts turned out to be such a non-issue for Griffith. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, he's been a thorn in my side. It is
not
like
at all.
I got resummoned. I saw him once. I kind of stunted on him, and then I left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Guts has not been doing anything to make Griffith's life hard at all.
So it is like, oh, like at most, but yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah. Oh, Guts, how's that guy doing?
Is he still alive?
Is he still out there kicking?
Yeah.
4 healers? Oh wow.
Swinging.
Yikes, things must be getting pretty rough.
You got a mermaid?
Damn, I gotta get some of those.
I gotta get one of
Sonia,
them.
add mermaids to the list. I guess. yeah.
It's just a doodle of a man.
Yeah, she's drawing.
She's just
With
writing I
crayons.
Heart Griffith.
I love you.
But yeah, and we see all of them too. We see Sonia, and she's in her full royal or religious, high-ranking religious
She's dressed
figure.
like a pope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
she's
see
like-
the other pope guy there, the priest there, Griffith there at the funeral. We see Rickert kind of going through, and he is led by Locus, and Locus is telling him, "Hey, so I heard you were part of the OG band.
Yeah.
Like, I respect that. I respect that.
I respect that. I love how like finally someone can tell when like a human is not a
Yeah.
human. Like is a monster. He goes, oh yeah. He sees his eyes. He goes, yeah, this guy's definitely not a human. I'm
Yeah,
like, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel crazy when I see these people. I'm
but,
like,
yeah,
no.
30-foot guy with like a tail, and they're like, we call him Scorpion.
Yeah, and it's like, damn, what kingdom is he from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Everybody
like-
looks like that over there?
What weird armor and faces and bodies and abilities and
Yeah. Maybe
races.
they think it's really ornate armor.
Yeah, it's armor.
Yeah, oh
He's
yeah, well, that guy
quirky.
he's got a crystal dragon suit of armor. That guy.
I guess
normal
they have crystal dragons over there.
Great guy.
Great
Yeah.
guy. Underneath the armor, great guy.
Great guy.
Great guy.
Yeah, you should hang out. Well, he does Pilates.
Yeah.
Griffith is really into Pilates. which-
That's
Griffith kinda
canon.
would be. Yeah, he kinda
Yeah.
would.
Yeah, for sure. He'd have a Peloton.
Griffith would have a Peloton.
What's a Peloton?
It's like one of those exercise bikes, but
Really
it's
expensive.
the really expensive top of the line exercise bike.
And there's like instructors that have like live.
Oh.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
would have one of those.
He'd have a Peloton 100%.
Yeah.
And
Him
Griff-
leading a Peloton class?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I feel like Griffith would always be one of those kind of guys who would like always have like a Bluetooth earpiece in.
Oh yeah.
He'd like always be taking calls.
Yeah.
But hold on, give me a second.
Yeah.
Zod, go for Griffith.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can turn into that gorilla thing.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah. No, yeah.
No, you can't. No, the crystal dragon's off limits.
Yeah.
Not for this one.
No, we don't need it. We don't need it, Zod. We talked
You
about
do
this.
not need the crystal. You didn't need them last
The
time.
budgets do not.
Do you have any idea how much that costs to let him do that and then I have to turn him back?
Yeah. It's a whole thing. We don't have it in our budget right now.
Your go for gorilla? That's a no on crystal dragon.
You're
and Griffith out. Griffith out. White Hawk out.
All right.
Hawk of Light out.
20 more minutes, guys.
yeah. Oh man. I mean, it does feel like it's not too far off.
Mm-mm.
How has there been a story where they don't give you any of like the in between and like a guy like wants to do all this revenge stuff and it just cuts to they'll be like, I want revenge, and it'll cut to him being like, oh, they turned out to be like a sad guy, but like if they just like turned out to be like they just do like normal, they're like, oh, Megamind.
Hey, maybe. I got another bomb to drop. Never seen Megamind.
What?
Yeah, never seen it.
That's
That's a great movie.
like one of the best ones.
I mean, it came out like it felt like it came out like right after sort of the Incredibles.
Did you see Monsters
What do
vs.
you mean, right?
Aliens?
It's like 10 years.
Monsters vs. Aliens. Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, I did see that one.
First time I saw that piano scene, cough and fit, I was dying. Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can comfortably say I'm dying if something makes me laugh hard enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
I gotta watch Megamind then.
Yeah. Keep it in mind.
Keep it in
Megan's mind.
Megan's mind.
Locked.
The mind of Megan.
Mind of Meg C.
Yes, dude. That's what's happening in there all the time. So yeah, he's shown around. Locust gives him the rundown. Locust shows him the fighting pit with the demons.
He gives him the rundown, gives him the backstage tour.
Yeah, dude, and tells him like, I don't know if you came here. He's like, I don't know what you came here for, but he's like, you don't have a brand, so you weren't sacrificed. So you can only be here for these couple of reasons. It's probably this reason. Like, just keep in mind that like he's everybody's kind of happy right now. You know,
Yeah,
don't fuck this up for everybody.
know.
Chill.
Yeah.
Chill.
And it was basically like a threat.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And then Rickard finally gets his audience with Griffith and slaps the shit out of him.
Oh,
Very
because
cool.
he says some, he knows what he's saying. He's like, do you find what you're looking for at the grave of whatever? I was like, why would you say that, Griffith? Like, he's so, like, what is it, petty.
Yeah, dude.
Like, he knows exactly what he said. Like, come on.
And Rickard talks about how he felt guilty for not being there, but how, in that graveyard, I mean, all those basically tombstones, like those swords, like he made them, like he's the reason that there is some sort of memorial for these people and the mark that they left on the world. And that was all he felt like he could do. But I feel like it did give him a lot of closure, and it did, help him a lot with moving on, which is how he was able to, and how Guts wasn't able to for so long. And that's where that whole conversation with Godo came from. Yeah, to see Rickard just slap the shit out of Griffith.
And that line, like, I thought I knew, my leader was Griffith, the leader of the Band of the Hawk, not the, the Hawk of Light.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. And
Yeah.
Griffith hates being abandoned. So I was like, that probably stung a little bit, you little pigeon bitch.
You little pigeon bitch.
Yeah.
And it's funny, too, that you say that, because Rickard does say that later on. He's like, I'm doing the same thing that another member of our band did.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. Like, they had an altercation, and, ultimately Griffith gave Guts, like, not the choice, but told him he wanted to be the choice to fight for his freedom, I guess, but that if he wins the fight, he could leave. And so there was sort of that same altercation, ultimately ending in Rickard leaving. So it was very, it paralleled that a little bit. Yeah, and Rickard decides that he's gonna get up all of him and Erica's stuff, and they're gonna leave. And the world seems like, from what we've seen, so incredibly dangerous, more dangerous than ever. Obviously, there's creatures. The worlds are on top of each other, trolls and cockatiel monsters.
Cockatrice. Cockatiel is a lovely bird.
What if you had a cockatiel and you named it Patrice?
Well, then, my friend, you would have a cockatrice.
Patrice Cockatiel.
Maurice.
Patrice O'Cockaniel. It's like Patrice O'Neal.
Okay.
The cockatiel, think about it.
Patrice Cockatiel. That's not bad, actually.
Thank you, dude.
If you get a cockatiel named Patrice, that's not bad.
Yeah, and then maybe teach him a couple jokes.
How about a bartender? You name your cockatiel bartender? It's like cocktail.
Okay. Yeah, I would put that on equal footing. I wouldn't say it's better or worse. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And what leads to Locust's transformation again? There was some sort of attack or something. This is before, I think, because it wasn't Locust. It was Irvine. It was Irvine in the woods. Is what it was.
Led to that
transformation? Never mind. I got mixed
They just
up.
openly transformed.
Yeah. I got mixed up. Yeah, I totally forgot. So yeah.
I also saw, like, in that scene when he did, like, he turned into that centaur, and then he's like standing next to them in the cart. We're like, well, that means he's standing at them like ass first.
yeah. There was a weird panel too where it doesn't look like you can kind of see him without his centaur half, and it just looked really funny. Dude. He looked like sort of like a Mr. Tumnus, but like on a call it Mr. Tumblr because that could have gone on someone's Tumblr page.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
And for the folks who don't know, who's Mr. Tumbles?
Mr. Tumnus he's the centaur guy from Narnia.
He's what is not a centaur? What is it?
Oh no, he's
fawn. Fawn.
Yeah, what do you call the half? They're not centaurs. They stand up.
Goat.
A fawn? What?
Yeah.
Fawn. Something.
Goat man is all I know, but that's for
something with the F.
Fae.
Fawn. Something.
No, I think fawn. You're close. You're close with those.
Mr. Thomas was kind of sus though. I mean, he was sus.
James McAvoy. Mr.
Not
Thomas.
James McAvoy.
Mr.
He's not sus.
No, but he was played by James McAvoy.
Yeah. He's not sus, but Mr. Thomas is sus.
With a name like Mr. Tumnus, I mean, come on. Dude.
Yeah, come on. You're already guilty.
Yeah, you're guilty.
You're guilty
if I see you on my court dock, if I'm a judge, I see you on the docket. Up next is Mr. Tumnus versus anybody. I would say, stay outside, Mr. Tumnus, guilty. You did it.
You're corrupt.
You did it.
Yeah. So what do you? Any judge ever?
Thank you.
Ooh.
Thank you. So it's kind of towards the end. Rickert decides to leave.
He upset some apostles by doing that.
Oh yeah,
And he
they're
gets-
on his track.
Roscus comes after him. The shadow demon guy.
Wait, I guess they imply that his background is he used to be a cushion.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or did I miss? Or I forgot that. Like they
No.
already explained
Baki
it.
Raka.
They imply
Baki.
that he was either a Baki Raka or human. Or
He got
had history.
exiled.
Yeah. Because we do again see Sealot, I think is his name, the chief of the Baki Raka, who I'm starting finally towards the very end of the series, finally starting to care a little bit about.
I
him.
like the
Mhm.
angle of them being the resistance.
Yes.
And then, that's when you get the two goons that are just like these like giant roided out guys that are just like, is it because of the way I look? No, it's because of the way you look. And like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, we have to go hide. It's...
Yeah. I loved seeing a little bit more personality from
Mhm.
them. I also think finally we got a different angle because like I couldn't really tell what Sealot was up to this whole time. Like he seemed like with the other emperor, and he's like, I debated working or just falling in line and being here and serving under Griffith, but I'm not going to work for another demon again.
Yeah.
But even while all that was happening, I was like, what is this guy even doing? Like he just seemed like he seemed like, and I guess it was smart, but he was just kind of like assessing all of it and like watching it all unfold and like not really making any major moves because he didn't want to piss off the wrong side. So he was like, I'm just going to hang back and I'm just going to watch everything.
Smart.
It is
Yeah.
smart.
Once
but-
a giant, ethereal tree shoots up from the sky after it kills your god, I guess you kind of gotta reassess your life and your place in it.
Got to think about things. Got to think about things.
It'd take like a week,
Yeah.
some alone time.
Yeah.
I do like the story that's happening where it's like they're trying to like ambush that mask guy
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and his personality, which is like, he's kind of like a child.
He's kind of funny.
Yeah,
Yeah. The
because like
humor
that was
again.
I like that mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, I'm kind of bummed out. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I'll be
The
back when I
vibes
get a new
killed.
mask.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll come back with a new mask. I'll be back tonight. It's just so funny. And it's so crazy that it does feel seamless. Getting from point A to point B, it feels right. It doesn't feel forced. That's ultimately what happens though. Sealot agrees to help Rickert if Rickert tells him more about the Hawk and the Hawk's past. And Rickert, again, being the smart guy says, well, you want the short version or the long version? If you want the long version, you got to help me get out of here. And you don't want the short version, do you? So he agrees, like, all right, I'll help you. And they reveal, I also just kind of am a sucker for, I know it's like a very adventure quest-like way of telling stories, but I feel like that is a lot of what fantasy is. I love Guts and the gang have Elf Island as a destination. I love, like Frodo had the mountain, and now Rickert and the Baki Raka have this like temple or this like stone. They have this like,
We have a safe haven we can get.
Yeah.
to.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some dirt on this guy that might destabilize people's perception of him.
Yeah.
Where's this gonna go? And then they set up ambushes with the mask guy who keeps being like, "You broke it again."
Yeah, this was
He gets shot in the mouth. And he
new.
like hit anywhere. Like he like said, "It's not even my head. That's not even my actual weak
Yeah.
spot. Stop shooting there."
Yeah. And I think we all kind of ended around the same point because it's right around here when they're trying to escape that it ends, right?
Well, because they're doing a good job getting him, and they're getting some hits in, but then he grabs Erica
Yeah.
Right.
because he
Yeah.
they set him on fire, so he rips a horse in half
Oh
Yeah.
to
God.
quench the fire, and like and then yeah, and then like, oh boy, okay, but you're gonna get him this time, and he grabs Erica, and you're like, oh, I just saw what he did to the horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And-
you've heard
yeah.
of fire hose. Get ready for fire horse. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
All right.
Put out that fire.
Put out that fire.
Yeah.
And that's the big cliffhanger that we leave on. And look, there's only two after this video. There's only two Berserk videos, or at least Berserk walkthroughs, discussion, review type videos left. There's the conclusion of Fantasia and the final chapter that we're saving for a live. But we're going to give more of our final thoughts. I also would love for all of us, and I'm sure that we all will, go through some of your comments and pick some of our favorites, talk about them, discuss them. It's probably going to be a long live, but it's going to be a fun live because we're going to go through all of it, discussing our feelings on the final chapter and the series as a whole, and hearing what you guys have to say about it as well. But look, we only have one more review, discussion, walkthrough type video left before that live. So predictions on like where this story is going to end, or if you would rather speak on just how you felt about this as a whole, or just how you're feeling about this series so far with only a little bit left to go. You guys, any question you want to answer, however you want to answer it.
Now I don't think there's going to be any confrontation with Griffith.
Yeah.
I think it's going to end with them getting to the elf thing. It's going to end with Erica and Rickert like getting to like the cushion safe house, and like maybe leaving on that Watchmen note of like, but now they've been given this. I think it's gonna end where they're just like, and you can kind of figure where it goes from here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm sure hopefully we get some stuff wrapped up with Casca. Hopefully she becomes coherent again. I don't know. Based off the cover of the last volume, it is kind of showing all three of them together again. So maybe Guts Jr. gets back in action somehow, gets a body. I don't know. But I really can't like predict anything else that's going to happen at this point. That's kind of...
Yeah, I think that Guts Jr. getting a body, if that is something that does happen, I still think will somehow directly affect Griffith. And so maybe that is how Griffith will be affected, because Griffith seems to have physical form or be able to walk this earth because Guts Jr. is a part of him. And we can't forget that since the Conviction arc, he has been. And maybe on the full moon, he's able to project himself and escape or leave. But if they make it to Elf Island and they're able to grant that wish, then that essence is going to be torn from Griffith.
Well, how about this? So Guts Jr. gets his own body, and then Griffith can only manifest on the full moons, and he becomes a god.
You know what, dude?
Or Griffith just becomes Femto.
Yeah,
he's not able to go back to the white-haired Griffith anymore.
Everyone sees him for the demon he is.
And maybe combining those two stories, maybe he just becomes this evil god that appears on a full moon. I don't know. I don't want to say, unfortunately. Obviously, the situation is unfortunate, but I do have the same feeling that it is going to sort of end with everybody getting to their destination. I do think we're going to get some closure with Guts and Casca. I don't know how much, but some.
If there's closure, I can only visualize like them looking at each other.
Yeah.
And like,
and maybe a word.
Yeah.
Like thank you or something,
God, yeah.
I do think we might get to see a couple panels of, who knows? I mean, we still have like 3 volumes ish left.
Oh my god, that's so crazy to say.
And it's over. But
that's so crazy.
But I do kind of agree, Cody, that it's going to end with everybody sort of getting to their destination. I think that's my prediction. I want to be wrong, in the sense that I hope we get more, but we will see. What a wild ride! What an incredible journey! What a powerful scene!
Powerful character.
Yeah. Wasn't there one more?
No, that was it. I guess we can bring back that phrase.
I mean,
Corcus.
It came from, it originated in a Berserk episode from
Yeah.
Corcus. Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah, Yeah.
Powerful scene, powerful character. Maybe add one. Powerful.
Well, it has to powerful scene, powerful character, powerful emotions.
Okay. All right.
You have to say it like that. Powerful. You kind of have to tilt your head down.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Powerful scene, powerful character,
Powerful
powerful
emotions.
Yeah. So, I again am just so continue to be so blown away by this series. Everything that has happened. There was really only in its entirety, in all of it so far, there was only that one small, really tiny lull. And I don't even want to say it was anything less than that. It was just a little bit of a lull.
Oh, you know, because my buddy that like he watched it, he'll listen to, he completely forgot about that arc, the political arc that you said you had the issue with.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, like it was like the most forgettable part of the story. Just like, so there was an old veteran of those stories that was like, oh yeah, no one remembers that part.
Yeah.
And it could be how a lot of people are remembering the story too, just all the highlights, because all of it does feel like a highlight. It was just a tiny lull. It wasn't necessarily a bad part at all, but this story is just consistently great, consistently amazing, beautiful. It's a mixed bag of emotions coming towards the end, but we only got part 2 and then that live to do next. So thank you to everybody who's been here for the entire journey, and thank you to everybody who's found us throughout this journey. It's been a wild ride. Make sure we're going to promote it. We're going to post about it mid-January towards maybe the end of January is probably when that live will be. We'll start giving exact dates on our community tab. It's an excuse to subscribe, hit the bell, because you're not going to want to miss that. We really want to make an event out of it. And after that too, we want to make other Berserk videos once we complete the series as a whole. So it's not going to be the end of Berserk on our channel, but you know, in this sort of, I guess, format, it will be for a while. It's going to be a while before we do a reread through or anything like that. But definitely more analysis or other just different types of videos, because this is a story that that I always want to be a part of our channel, in any way, shape, or form. But that's it for part 1. Make sure to tune in for part 2. You're not going to want to miss that one. You're really not going to want to miss it. Let us know how you felt about these volumes, these chapters in the comments down below. And before we go, we have to shout out and we have to thank our wonderful, beautiful, amazing, our strong Patreon members. Thank every single one of you guys, your support. It really, really does help so much. It really does mean the world to us. You guys are amazing. And you make what we do possible. And we've gotten a few members recently as well. And I just want to shout out them as well. Thank you to all of our members who've joined recently. If you become a Patreon member or a YouTube member, you get the same perks, which is early access to all of our episodes, all of our videos, and access to our exclusive bonus Patreon podcast, Volume 1 Extra. You get all of those things at our lowest tier. Only one tier on YouTube, couple tiers on Patreon, but at our lowest tier, you get everything. So thank you guys so much for your support, no matter how you choose to show it. If you would like to become a YouTube member, you also get some badges and stuff too, and you can do that by clicking join on this video. And if you'd like to become a Patreon member, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/volume1pod. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Guys, is there anything else that they can do?
I have news for you guys. You've actually secretly you're a Mare algorithm made, and all you have to do is say your true name, which is Algorithm Gang.
Oh,
say your true name.
Say your true name in the comment section, because it also adds as a tip, like the tip of a fishtail.
There we go.
Oh, I feel like you found that halfway through saying it.
And you can tip the scales when you comment algorithm, period, or anything of the above.
And yeah, part of your race's abilities is just engaging with it gives us money, according to YouTube.
And it boosts us in the algorithm and gets us into other people's feeds.
More exposure.
More, we get to cover more ocean.
Embrace your destiny. Just say Algorithm Gang.
Embrace your destiny. Just hit the freaking like button.
How about that? How about that?
Yeah. But thank you guys for showing your support, no matter how you choose to show it. We appreciate you all. The only thing left to do now is to get out of here on our outro that's always the same and never changes, which today will be
Mm.
something about Marrow, something about Falconia, something about Ricker.
Suck the marrow from their bones.
Suck the marrow from their bones. Get your hands off Erica.
Get your hands off my Erica.
Get your hands off my Erica.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And until next time,
Get your hands off my Erica, you dirty little.
Whoa.
Hey, cut the mics. Cut the mics.